Welcome to New York's #2 sports show. So, on a night where the New York Giants select the league neighbors as their #6 overall pick, the New York Yankees lose to the Oakland A's and end up splitting the 4-game series. So, very disappointing where, Yankees lost the first game and that was ugly offensively, and the offensive struggles continue. And they win the middle 2 games, but they lose the last game. Tons of missed opportunities, a lot of men left on base. Just, really disappointing for the Yankees that I know the record's good. I mean, the Yankees' record is 17-9. That's a very good record. But I don't like how they're playing. I don't know if it's, basically what the future will look like for this team, and give them credit and Matt Blake and company, as I tend to do a lot. Like, the pitching on paper, it's not great, but it has, and I know like for this series you're facing Oakland, so it doesn't deserve that much praise, but the pitching has kind of done the job. And I can't say the same for the offense. Not at all. So let's go into this. I don't think that there were any transactions. I guess the biggest news is that DJ LeMahieu felt soreness again. He started his rehab assignment in, I believe it was Somerset. And, yeah, he had to be pulled from the game. So, not sure when we'll see him. The injury concerns just continue to persist with LeMahieu. It's just, I think that's what it's going to be for the rest of his career, sadly. And it probably has been a big reason why he has declined. Like, I think it's kind of twofold. It's just, look, you get older, you're not going to be able to maintain what you were doing, but the injuries are not helping the matter either. So, and it's tough, too, because, it would have put them in a spot where I think Oswaldo probably would have been the one that would have lost time, but it would have led to somewhat of an interesting situation with Glaber really struggling. Could he have lost playing time? That's not something that we'll really know now. But let's just go first game. And it was a pitching matchup between Carlos Rodon and former Yankee J.P. Sears. And I always kind of liked J.P. Sears. He was involved in that Frankie Montas deal, and Sears did a great job versus the Yanks. He goes 6 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 1 walk, and 7 strikeouts, while Carlos Rodon only led 1 hit in 7 innings, no runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. This was another example of a game like it was 2 days before, where the Yankees, the only difference was the Yankees didn't lose this one in extra innings. They lost it in the 9th. The Yankees get shut out, and it was a scoreless game up until the 9th inning. So you just can't have that. Now, early in this game, right away, you have the ridiculous Hunter Wendelstedt ejection of Aaron Boone. Just really a joke. Boone really wasn't even all that upset to begin with, and then it was a fan that was actually yelling at Wendelstedt, and he tossed Boone out of there. Just the way that was handled was clumsily at best by under Wendelstedt. It just seemed like he didn't want to be there. It was a rare Monday 1 o'clock game, and he just seemed like he wasn't into it from the beginning. But yeah, this was scoreless for a while. And as far as the lineup goes, now this game wouldn't be a good example of it, but even against righties, they have now preferred to go Stanton 4, Rizzo 5. And so the lineup, it's basically been the same now for a while, with some minor tweaks in terms of sometimes they'll go catcher for 8-9. Sometimes it'll be catcher 8, Cabrera 9. Sometimes it'll be Cabrera 8, catcher 9, depending on, it seems like maybe when it's Wells, sometimes he bats 9th, and when it's Trevino, he'll maybe bat 8th. Seems to kind of be what the theme is. So, yeah, so that happens to start. So the Wendelstedt situation was a talking point for sure. But from there, Rodon kind of got into some bits of trouble here and there, kind of self-induced, but he was able to kind of just pitch out of it. He didn't have his best stuff, but hey, never going to complain ever with 7 scoreless innings. Like, he did what he had to do. He gave the Yankees the basically best possible chance they had to win, but they were not doing much of anything against J.P. Sears. there just wasn't a whole lot going on. I mean, in terms of like runners in scoring position situations, now this was another struggle of a day for Aaron Judge. Now, Judge did improve as the series went on, but at this point, Judge left this game batting 174, a couple of strikeouts, a double play that he had early in the game. So for Judge, at that point, not so great, but some encouraging signs as the series progressed. But we go to the fifth, and first and second, 2 out for Oswaldo Cabrera. He flies out. Again, Oakland was shutting the Yankees down. The Yankees only had 3 hits all game. 1 by Volpe, 1 by Stanton, and 1 by Trevino, all singles. In the 8th, Ian Hamilton comes on, and for Hamilton, it's been a bit of a struggle, but he was able to find a way. And I'm probably going to be missing some, closer details that I'm just not, I'm going to kind of more skim through this. But Hamilton, it wasn't pretty, but he was able to with bases on a 2-out strikeout, Shea Langoliers, who did swing at ball 4. Bottom of the 8th, leadoff walk Trevino. And I thought at that, I'm not a big bunt them over kind of guy. I'm not huge on that. I thought in this case, maybe bunting Trevino might have made some sense, but they didn't want to do that. And he grounds a double play. And that's the problem with Trevino. He's been better lately. He has been a lot better lately offensively, but he's a huge double play candidate. So we go to the 9th inning and Victor Gonzalez comes on. Now, mind you, the day before Gonzalez closed out the game of the 9th, he was kind of on an upward trajectory, but unfortunately, a soft single by Abraham Toro, an unlucky one, and then Zach Galoff breaks the scoreless tie in the 9th with an opposite field 2-run homer off of Victor Gonzalez. And then Mason Miller, he has been filthy and nasty for the Oakland Athletics. He strikes out Volpe, Soto, and Judge to end the game, and there were some Judge boos. But like I said, the Yankees were 0-4 with runners in scoring position. They did nothing. So they already lose the first game. Game 2 and 3, they get wins. Game 2, though, they bust it open for 4 runs in the first and then did not do anything from there, but luckily got the win. This was Marcus Stroman for the Yankees, who, not a great outing for Stroman, but certainly not bad either. He goes 5 1/3, 3 earned runs, 7 hits aren't great, but 1 walk, 9 strikeouts, but a couple homers. But the bullpen does the job. The bullpen ends up going, giving them no-hit baseball for 3 2/3 innings. A combination of Ron Marinaccio, Caleb Ferguson, Dennis Santana, and Clay Holmes is what happened there. And this was another, in all these games, the umps, the home plate umps, the balls and strikes, it's terrible. So I'm not even going to waste my time going into specifics, but just brutal in terms of these calls, typically favoring the pitcher. That's usually what it is. But yeah, in this one, again, you had Stanton batting cleanup versus a righty. That's been a thing lately. But in the first inning, Oakland scores first, and it was Juan Soto kind of messing up defensively, where it's an RBI double for Seth Brown. But really, that shouldn't have been the case. It should have been played differently. But Oakland takes advantage of that and gets that run. But in the bottom of the first, the Yankees are able to put 4 on the board. With 1 out, Soto singles, Judge doubles. Then it's a 2-run double by Stanton, which was good. And then a 2-run over by Rizzo. So Rizzo was able to get the home run stroke going a little bit this series. His bat seems like it might be coming alive a little bit, which is great to see. So you get the 2-run double Stanton, the 2-run homer Rizzo, and it's 4-1 Yanks. We go to the second inning. And Shea Langoliers homers. So, again, for Stroman, it was not great, but good enough. And in the fourth, Lawrence Butler makes it 4-3. That would be the final score. There'd be no runs from there. Yankee pitching really had to shut it down, and they did. So Stroman gets into a little bit of trouble in the 6th, and Ron Marinaccio comes on and does the job. So Marinaccio, he might find his way into somewhat of a bigger role in this bullpen, considering all the injuries. And look, Marinaccio in the past, when he's on, has shown that he can be a really top-flight reliever. So I hope that he can find it. 7th inning, it's a combination of Marinaccio and Ferguson. Good to see Ferguson find some effectiveness, because obviously he's been struggling lately for sure. And then in the 8th inning, it's another combo inning of Ferguson and Santana. We go to the 9th, and Clay Holmes goes 1-2-3. Although he got a little lucky. Again, some of the calls were not great by the home plate ump, but it ends up being a 1-2-3. Yankees win 4-3, so at that point they tie up the series at 1. And now let's go to Game 3. So game 3 was Clark Schmidt for the Yanks, and for Oakland, it was on the mound Joe Boyle, who definitely struggled for sure. And the Yankees, this was definitely their most complete offensive game. It did involve 3 homers, but hey, you'll take it. And for Clark Schmidt, it's the same old thing with him, where he will give you very good 4 or 5 innings without giving up many runs, but then it all kind of comes undone. And it's an inability, third time through the order. It's also an inability of keeping the pitch count down. Here, it wasn't a pitch count issue so much as it was him just really falling off in the 6th specifically. So the final line, it's a pretty typical Clark Schmidt line, maybe a little bit worse than normal. But it was frustrating because, I like what he brings to the table. But really, Luke Weaver did a great job. And that's another one where Luke Weaver, he's finding himself in some pretty big spots. I mean, he goes 2 2/3 innings scoreless, no walks, 3 strikeouts. So that was good to see. But yeah, this was a game where sort of the big boys, flex their muscle a bit. And Judge starts it out. And it was interesting because he got lucky because really there was a balk called where if it wasn't called, Judge thought he struck out looking. But he gets another life, and I think it was the next pitch, 2-run homer Judge. And he needed that one. He really did. This was a good game for Aaron Judge. Makes it 2-0 Yankees. Then in the 4th, the Yankees score a couple more runs. Some bad defense by Oakland, and Joe Boyle only went 3 innings. But a bunt single by Austin Wells to start out. He has not really produced a lot offensively. I think some of it was bad luck, but hey, he lays one down and it works out, and Anthony Volpe drives him with an RBI triple. This was a similar situation to Soto where Lawrence Butler didn't really do a great job of going after this one, and so it ends up with an RBI triple for Volpe, then a sac fly for Soto, makes it 4-0. Then in the 5th, Anthony Rizzo homers again. So back-to-back games of homers for Rizzo. His 3rd of the season gives the Yankees a 5-0 lead. In the 6th, though, is where Schmidt runs into problems, and it ends up being a 3-run homer for Brett Rooker. So, Schmidt leaves on a bit of a sour note, but Luke Weaver finishes out the inning. In the 6th, a dead center field home run for Juan Soto. Very impressive. He's just, he gets on base all the time, and he's just doing everything you could really ask for. And so that's a 6th homer, gives the Yankees a 6-3 lead. In the 7th, they would score one more. Eventually, you have a base-loaded night situation where Alex Verdugo hits a sac fly. Gives the Yankees a 7-3 lead. Ian Hamilton would finish out in the 9th. And again, for him, he's not getting strikeouts. I like Hamilton, but I don't know. He seems hittable. But, hey, they win it there, and at that point, the Yankees are up 2-1 in the series. And I'm thinking, okay, Cortez versus Alex Wood, kind of like that matchup. Let's win 3-4. And if that were the case, would I be a little bit annoyed with the offense? Yeah, I might be. But I know it's Oakland, but 3-4 would have been totally fine. But splitting is kind of unacceptable. And it's really disappointing, like I said. That's the word I would use. So, Nestor, the overall line is good, but he gives up. It was all in short order. In the 3rd inning, Nestor kind of loses it a little bit. And it shouldn't have cost him, as the Yankees offense just couldn't do shit. But this is a game where the Yankees left 11 men on base, 1 for 7 runners in scoring position, a couple of really big double plays, just inability to just get the big hit. It just couldn't happen. So Alex Wood ends up, it wasn't pretty, but he's able to navigate through 5 2/3 innings. And I got to say, the Oakland bullpen, even beyond Mason Miller, not all that bad. So you really want to get to the starter because it doesn't get easier when it goes to the pen. And Mason Miller gets a 4-out save. Look, they're going to use him when they can. And as they should. So, Yankees, they were the team that definitely got off to the better start for sure. There was opportunities to be had. 1st inning, bases loaded, no out. Stanton strikeout and Rizzo double play. It just can't happen. And I'm looking at these numbers, and they're really not good. Look, Judge is betting 186. As much as, there were signs of life, I feel like I keep on saying that. And yet, the numbers still aren't great. So 186 for Judge. I don't want to ignore the OPS, but 222 for Stanton. I know it was a good series for Rizzo, but his numbers are not all that impressive. Glaber had 2 hits in this game to get it up to 202. It's pretty ugly. It really, really is. I mean, even as Waldo, who got off to a really nice start, those numbers are starting to drop off. It's on the offense. It really is. So second inning, a really bad base running by Gleyber Torres, where he's on first base with 1 out, and he gets picked off. Like, it just kind of falls asleep. And then, of course, next batter, Trevino homer to right field, off of the pole, I believe. And that would have been a 2-run homer, potentially, if Gleyber doesn't fuck around. So it's 1-0 Yanks. But then what hurts is it's the you want the shutdown inning, and Nestor didn't give it to you. Nick Allen homers, ties it up at 1, his first homer of the year. And then with 2 outs, Tyler Nevin, he hits a 2-run homer. So the son of Phil. And the interesting thing is, I believe Nick Allen is related not by blood, but to Aaron Boone. I forget what the relationship is there, but they are family, so to speak. And obviously there's the Phil. It's weird how Tyler Nevin. I think Phil Nevin was actually at these games. So Tyler Nevin, he hits his first homer of the year. So not great. The guys you have home runs to. Nestor was upset. And so, he's got to try to, because I feel like home runs for him have been a bit of an issue. I don't know if the stats back that up, but it feels that way. But Oakland takes a 3-1 lead. But I'm thinking, all right, as bad as the offense has been, you had plenty of time to get it done. They would not score again, the Yankees. And the 4th inning was another big chance where it's basically 1 out and Trevino grounds into a double play. As good as he's been, and Trevino, the numbers are honestly some of the best on the team. Batting average, OPS, really. He's been that good. But yeah, that's a possibility. And it's too bad because Verdugo singled. Verdugo, he's a guy I like up there. Verdugo, he's someone that slowly, his numbers are getting better. They're not great, but, kind of building up bit by bit. But Verdugo, it's too bad. Stanton kind of didn't judge it totally correctly off the bat. And so, yeah, you get no runs there. Let's see. 5th inning, Stanton's up in a pretty big spot. First and second, 2 out, grounds out. And then in the 6th, as Waldo, who, again, he's been struggling just a little bit lately. He's in a first and third 2-out spot and grounds out to first. Then in the 7th, after a 1-out Volpe, 1-out Soto walk, Judge strikeout, Stanton strikeout, that was not good. Dennis Santana comes on in the 8th inning for Cortez. In the bottom of the 8th, it's a combination of TJ McFarland and Mason Miller, for that 8th. And the 9th inning, Santana's replaced by Victor Gonzalez. He puts up a scoreless 9th. And in the bottom of the 9th, Oswaldo strikes out looking. Volpe does single, an infield single, but then Soto was overmatched by Miller. He strikes out, and then Judge gets under one. And then Judge, I feel like he's missing pitches that he could hit, and he flies out. And so it's a split. Disappointing for sure. And now it doesn't get easier, obviously, if not from that. You go to Milwaukee and Baltimore, 2 of the better teams in baseball. Milwaukee 16-8. The Orioles sit at 16-8 as well. So, these are pretty big tests. Now, in the case of Baltimore, it's a bigger one. It's divisional, and I believe in them more. Milwaukee, maybe there's a little bit of a smoke and mirrors element to it, but when I've watched them, they are a tough team. They play they are a tough team to beat. They really are. So we will see what happens. As far as potential pitching matchups go, it would appear to be Luis Gil versus Colin Ray on the Friday game. Saturday, Carlos Rodon versus Joe Ross. And then Sunday, it would be Marcus Stroman against Tobias Myers, who I guess will be making his second major league start. So, like, honestly, on paper, it's not all that imposing, although each of the pitchers I mentioned from Milwaukee all seem to have somewhat decent numbers. But these are certainly not names of any kind. So we'll see what happens. I hope there's a little bit of a fire under their ass after just, splitting at home to Oakland. I mean, it's unacceptable. So we'll see what happens. They go on the road for 7 games, starts out in Milwaukee, then it goes to Baltimore, and they're going to try to get this bad taste out of their mouth after splitting the 4-game set at Yankee Stadium against Oakland.